everybody, welcome to my channel.
Rise to Stardom. The Bionic Woman legacy. Lindsay Wagner's role as Jaime Sommers was groundbreaking not just in science fiction, but in television history. Initially introduced as a love interest for Steve Austin in The $6 Million Man, her character was so popular that she was given her own series, The Bionic Woman, 1976 to 1978. This show featured a powerful, self-reliant female protagonist, unusual for the era. Storylines that explored ethical questions about science and technology. Emotional depth, which Lindsay insisted on bringing to the character. Small diamond cultural impact. Jaime Sommers became a feminist icon and role model for young girls, proving that a female character could be both vulnerable and incredibly strong. Small diamond accolades. Wagner's 1977 Emmy win was historic. She beat out actresses from more conventional dramas, cementing the legitimacy of genre television. Clapperboard. Notable film and TV work beyond Jaime Sommers. Wagner consciously chose roles that often carried social messages. Some highlights: The Incredible Journey of Dr. Meg Laurel, 1979, a film about a Harvard-educated doctor returning to her Appalachian roots to blend modern medicine with folk traditions. I Want to Live, 1983, a remake of the 1958 film, where Wagner plays Barbara Graham, a woman sentenced to death. Child's Cry, 1986, a harrowing film about a social worker uncovering child abuse. Evil in Clear River, 1988, based on a true story, she plays a mother fighting against Holocaust denial being taught in school. These roles help cement her reputation as an actress with substance and integrity. Books. Wellness and human potential advocate. In the 1980s and 1990s, Wagner expanded into writing, speaking, and teaching. She explored themes of personal transformation, spiritual growth, and holistic health. Books. The High Road to Health, a vegetarian cookbook, 1990, Lindsay Wagner's New Beauty. The Acupressure Facelift, 1986, workshops and seminars. Titled Quiet the Mind and Open the Heart, her workshops blend meditation, visualization, breathwork, and emotional healing practices. She has led transformational retreats across the US, Canada, and Europe. Small diamond philosophy. She emphasizes compassion, mindfulness, and tapping into one's inner power. Her teachings are rooted in both Eastern and Western wisdom traditions. Speech balloon. Personal beliefs and spirituality. Lindsay Wagner has spoken openly about her belief in the healing power of love and forgiveness. She's interested in Eastern philosophies and natural healing, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, homeopathy and energy medicine. Her personal struggles, including overcoming childhood illness and several turbulent relationships, shaped her spiritual worldview and commitment to helping others. DNA legacy. In later years, Wagner continues to act occasionally, often in Hallmark films or as a guest on TV series. In recent years, she has also appeared at fan conventions, speaking on panels and reconnecting with generations of fans. Small diamond. In 2018, she appeared in Grey's Anatomy as Alex Karev's mother, portraying mental illness with great sensitivity. Small diamond. She was also featured in NCIS, Warehouse 13, and reunited with Lee Majors in several Bionic Woman TV movies in the 1990s. Trophy. Honors and recognition. Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, 1984, Women's Image Network Award continues to be honored at sci-fi and pop culture conventions worldwide. Artistic depth. A humanist in Hollywood, Lindsay Wagner was never content to just be a TV star. She was drawn to acting as a form of healing and human connection. From the beginning, She sought roles that expressed emotional truth and personal growth. Lightbulb thoughtful role selection. Unlike many actors of her era, Wagner turned down major offers unless the characters had depth and moral substance. She once said, "I'm not interested in playing a role unless there's something I can learn or share." This ethos led her to stories centered on women's empowerment, social justice, inner healing, family and generational trauma. The human cost of technological advancement. Her work in made-for-TV movies, though often overlooked by critics, quietly shaped public discourse on abuse, mental illness, and systemic injustice. Woman in Lotus position. Lindsay Wagner, the healer. Wagner's second career as a teacher, speaker, and holistic health advocate is arguably as impactful as her entertainment legacy. Speech balloon seminars and retreats. She developed and hosted workshops called Quiet the Mind and Open the Heart, which explore meditation and breathwork, neuro-emotional healing techniques, visualization and conscious intention, the science of compassion and forgiveness. These sessions combine neuroscience, spirituality, and psychology, often with a trauma-informed approach. Attendees describe them as life-changing. She also trained in modalities such as EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, homeopathy, energy balancing techniques, sparkling heart, personal resilience. Wagner's journey has not been without hardship, which gives her teachings emotional weight. Health struggles. She battled severe ulcers as a child and developed a deep empathy for those in pain. Divorces. She's been married 4 times but speaks kindly of her former spouses. Single motherhood. She raised 2 sons largely outside the public eye, valuing their privacy over publicity. Her authenticity and refusal to hide from life's messiness has earned her a devoted fanbase. Globe humanitarian work. Wagner has long been involved in humanitarian causes. Domestic violence awareness, animal welfare. She supports numerous shelters and anti-cruelty campaigns, environmental consciousness, an early voice in promoting sustainable living and plant-based eating. She's also a vocal supporter of restorative justice and believes media should be used for collective healing. DNA influence on modern television and feminism. Though The Bionic Woman ended in 1978, its cultural footprint is still felt. Inspired characters like Buffy Summers, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sydney Bristow, Alias, and 11, Stranger Things, helped legitimize female-led action series. It opened doors for Linda Hamilton, Terminator, Lucy Lawless, Xena, and others. Became a case study in how genre storytelling can reflect human fears and aspirations, especially around identity, body autonomy, and power. Academics today still analyze her performance through lenses of gender theory and science fiction studies. Mirror quotes that reflect her worldview. When we're in alignment with our higher self, everything flows: our health, our relationships, our purpose. Lindsay Wagner. You don't have to be broken to grow. But if you are, don't let that stop you from becoming whole again. From her workshop materials, fame is a tool. It's what you do with it that counts. Interview with the Christian Science Monitor movie camera. Recent projects and appearances. In the 2000s to 2020s, Wagner appeared in Hallmark Channel movies, often as wise matriarchs or healers. Sci-Fi Channel's Warehouse 13, as Dr. Vanessa Calder, voice roles in the Bionic Woman video games and documentaries, conventions and panels, often discussing the intersection of consciousness, feminism, and pop culture. She also narrated documentaries on wellness, ancient wisdom, and women in media. Checkered flag summary. The legacy of Lindsay Wagner. Lindsay Wagner is far more than a nostalgic television star. She's a cultural force whose work has spanned Emmy-winning acting, trauma-informed healing work, groundbreaking advocacy for women in media, deep spiritual and emotional mentorship. She remains a living symbol of feminine strength and inner peace. A Pioneer who saw the power of media not as spectacle, but as a mirror. Behind the scenes, Lindsay Wagner as a creative force. Though not always credited, Lindsay Wagner fought hard to influence the writing on the Bionic Woman. She believed television could be more than entertainment, it could be a force for emotional and social education. Collision rewriting the action hero archetype, she insisted on emotional vulnerability in Jaime Sommers, who was one of the first action heroes to cry, show fear, or question authority. She pushed for nonviolent resolutions whenever possible, even in an action series. This was revolutionary. She helped shape Jaime's persona into an empathetic teacher and role model. Not just a tool of the government. Jaime didn't want to hurt people. That wasn't who she was. And I fought to keep that clear, Wagner explained in a 2012 retrospective. Brain intellect meets intuition. A woman ahead of her time, Wagner often spoke of the need to unite logic and emotion, the head and the heart. She believed this applied not only to storytelling, but to how we raise children, heal trauma, and design systems. She cited Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell as influences on how she approached acting. She was among the first public figures to advocate mindfulness long before it became mainstream. She challenged gender norms by blending strength with softness, often seen as oppositional in the 1970s. Film projector lesser known but powerful TV films. While The Bionic Woman was her flagship role, Wagner's best acting is arguably found in her lesser-known dramatic work. These TV films are hidden gems that reveal her depth and courage. 1. Shattered Dreams, 1990, a raw and gripping portrayal of a woman escaping an abusive marriage, praised for its realism and psychological insight. 2. Nighthawks, 1981, opposite Sylvester Stallone and Rutger Hauer, Wagner played a strong, intelligent counter-terrorism agent, rare in action films of that era. 3. Through the Eyes of a Killer, 1992, a thriller that doubles as a warning about trusting instincts and the subtle manipulation of narcissistic abusers. These roles often tackled taboo topics, domestic violence, gaslighting, political corruption, years before they were broadly discussed in popular media. Woman Teacher: A Private Life with Purpose. Books, personal practices and daily life. Lindsay Wagner's personal life mirrors her professional values. Meditation, a daily practice since the 1980s. Veganism and holistic health, she embraced natural medicine long before it was trendy. Motherhood, she prioritized being present for her children over pursuing celebrity. She rarely gave tabloidy interviews and never played the fame game, preferring authenticity over exposure. DNA: Cultural DNA, how she influenced others. Wagner may not be front-page news today, but her influence shows up in surprising places. TV on screen: Jessica Jones and Dana Scully. X-Files, both reflect Wagner's archetype, tough women with empathy and intellect. Modern actresses like Evangeline Lilly, Tatiana Maslany, and Rachel McAdams cite her as an influence. Mike: off-screen wellness influencers and trauma counselors frequently cite her writings and workshops. Her Bionic Woman portrayal is part of gender studies curricula in universities, especially in courses focused on women and media. Speech balloon: more powerful quotes: what we repress, we repeat. What we face, we transform. Workshop quote: Hollywood wasn't looking for healing, but I was. So I carved that space for myself. Interview with A&E: being bionic means adapting, not dominating. Reflections on her legacy, 2015 shooting star enduring legacy today. Lindsay Wagner is not just remembered, she's revered. by fans of all ages at pop culture conventions, by wellness communities who consider her a spiritual teacher, by feminist scholars who see her as a television trailblazer, by survivors of trauma who say her films gave them courage. Lindsay Wagner as a cultural guide in the realm of celebrity. Lindsay Wagner stands apart as a guide more than a star, someone who used fame to encourage awakening, compassion, and self-exploration. Her message is not just one of empowerment, but of wholeness. Where other performers chased the spotlight, Wagner turned inward, seeking truth, balance, and meaning. And that journey became the essence of her personal and public identity. Sparkles a spirit in the machine. The metaphor of the Bionic Woman Jaime Sommers wasn't just a TV character, she was a metaphor. Cyborg, but human, Sommers symbolized the tension between human vulnerability and technological power. Feminine strength, she navigated worlds traditionally dominated by men, military, science, intelligence, while holding on to her integrity and compassion. Control versus autonomy. The series subtly explored themes of consent, bodily autonomy, and institutional control, especially poignant in a female-led show. Wagner once said, "Jaime's body was altered, but her soul was intact. That's what kept her real." In today's age of AI, implants, and body modifications, the Bionic Woman feels prophetic. Cyclone healing through art. Lindsay's work with trauma survivors. One of Lindsay's most meaningful legacies is her quiet but ongoing work with survivors of trauma, especially women. How she helps. Hosting small group healing retreats for emotional trauma. Providing spiritual guidance for people suffering from chronic illness. Facilitating guided meditations and breathwork sessions that integrate trauma release techniques. In these circles, Wagner often doesn't mention her fame at all. She is there as a fellow traveler, not a guru. "I don't heal people. I hold space while they remember how to heal themselves." Woman in lotus position. Her philosophical influences. Wagner's worldview draws from an eclectic range of thinkers and traditions. Jungian psychology, the shadow self, archetypes, and individuation. Taoism, balance, surrender, harmony with nature. Neuroscience, understanding how trauma reshapes the brain. Mystical Christianity and Gnostic thought, inner light, sacred suffering, and redemption. She has even cited A Course in Miracles and Ram Dass among her inspirations. TV. The Lost Lindsay Wagner projects. Here are a few rare or unheralded projects that deserve more recognition. Candle, The Two Worlds of Jenny Logan, 1979, a haunting romantic drama about reincarnation and the trauma of lost love. This film has achieved cult status for its melancholy tone and metaphysical themes. Person in Bed with a Vengeance, 1992, a gritty performance as a woman seeking justice after surviving a brutal assault. The emotional realism in this film is raw and deeply feminist. I Voice in the Mirror, TV guest spots and docs. She has narrated several healing-themed documentaries and appeared on shows like Touched by an Angel. Always choosing characters with emotional and moral depth. Books, unfinished projects, and what might have been. Wagner has hinted in interviews about writing a memoir, but she's resisted the pressure to commercialize her life story. She once said, "If I write it, it won't be about fame. It'll be about waking up." She's also worked for years on a novel that blends healing, time travel, and feminine wisdom, but prefers to work on it only when the spirit moves. Seedling legacy as a teacher, not just a star. Wagner represents a rare fusion of intellect, spiritual insight, and emotional presence. She never sold out. She never courted fame for its own sake. She saw storytelling as a vehicle for awakening, and lived her life accordingly. If her message could be boiled down to a single idea, it might be, you are already whole. Let the pain guide you back to yourself. Lindsay Wagner as archetype. The wounded healer in the language of mythology and Jungian psychology, Lindsay Wagner embodies the wounded healer, one who has been hurt, not destroyed, and who transforms that suffering into compassion for others. She has spoken candidly about her own struggles with chronic illness as a child, the deep loneliness of early fame, emotional pain from failed relationships, the burden of carrying too much empathy in a fame-driven world, but she never grew bitter. She alchemized that pain into an ability to see and speak for the voiceless, through her roles, her workshops, and her presence. Pain doesn't disappear, it transforms. And when it does, so do you. Lindsay Wagner Cyclone, a life of integration, masculine and feminine. Action and stillness. Wagner's career is unique in that she refused to polarize herself into types. In a world that asked women to be either soft or strong, she was both. In her roles and personal life, she integrated masculine, feminine, strength, compassion, logic, intuition, action, receptivity, structure, flow. This is why the Bionic Woman was, and still is, so potent. Jaime Sommers wasn't a feminist statement, she was a complete human being. And Wagner made sure of it. Crystal Ball. Lindsay Wagner and the rise of conscious television. Before Oprah, Deepak Chopra, or Brené Brown brought self-awareness into mainstream media, Lindsay Wagner was quietly modeling consciousness in entertainment. She believed television could be a form of energy transmission. Acting was not pretending, but channeling human truth. The roles we accept matter. They shape culture and consciousness by choosing characters that reflected emotional depth, ethical dilemmas, and personal evolution. Wagner helped build a bridge between pop culture and soul work. She was a precursor to the conscious media movement that exploded in the 2000s and 2010s. Dove. The beauty of stillness. Aging with grace. Wagner never tried to stay young. Instead, she embraced the wisdom and radiance that come with aging, and helped redefine what it means to be a woman over 50 in Hollywood. She refused plastic surgery or cosmetic tricks. She spoke openly about emotional maturity and letting go of ego. She redefined beauty as energy.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching.